Welcome to the University of Michigan Dentistry Podcast Series, promoting oral health care worldwide.
I would like to demonstrate the cementation of a long pin facing and subsequently the cementation of a pin ledge bridge. This patient has been wearing permanently a 3-unit pin ledge bridge on the right side and temporarily a 3-unit pin ledge bridge on the left side of the arch. I have the bridge remover. We will remove this bridge using a star bridge remover, and by putting action on the spring weight, this will tap the bridge out of the abutments, and you can see them slowly coming out. Okay. I'll have some air on this. Very important. After the patient has been wearing this bridge temporarily, to make sure that you have removed all the temporary cement. And then you double check your occlusion, check the margins of the facing, and if everything looks fine, then we will pull the facing off and then cement it with a zinc phosphate cement. You'll notice that the surface of the pontic that is going to accept the facing is very clean, and the underside of the inside of the pontic is clean. If there is bruise or dirt on the inside of this facing, it's going to show through and affect the final shade of the pin facing. Now my dental assistant is mixing some zinc phosphate cement. You don't need a whole lot. And we are going to force the zinc phosphate cement into the pinholes that extend all the way through the bridge. That extend all the way through. Right? Okay, and you can put some on the facing, and I'll on the back of the facing. Now my dental assistant will be putting cement on the lingual surface of the of the facing, and I will be forcing the cement into the pinholes. And you want to make sure that the cement goes all the way through, because the cement is what will lock those platinum pins into this pontic. And I'm pumping the cement, and you can see now that there's bubbles of cement on the lingual surface of this bridge. I'll turn it over and put a little bit more all the way around, and she has cement on the using a Tarno number 1 instrument. Okay. And we will, once this is the proper consistency, you have to move pretty quickly. And we will then squeeze the facing into the pontic, and you'll see that the cement will ooze out around the margins, a piece of gauze, and you wipe this away, and you squeeze some more. I don't know if you can see that. That will squeeze until the cement comes out again, and wipe that away, and squeeze again to make sure she's seated all the way. And then the next thing we do, I need the 5S burnisher. We will take the 5S burnisher and burnish the gold margins that might open up slightly with the hydraulic pressure of the cement oozing out from under the margins. The two areas that you can reach are the incisal and the very cervical, and you can now see the saddle area of porcelain and the saddle area of gold. And we burnish this with quite a bit of pressure to make sure that's sealed. And then we will grind the platinum pin facing that's on the lingual surface. Now, can I have the straight handpiece, please? Where the platinum pins have come through on the lingual surface, these pins then should be burnished over by grinding. And this platinum will pull, and you pull from the platinum out, and you'll pull it onto the gold surface itself. And you very carefully go around that platinum, leaving it a little bit long. The reason that we ask you not to cut the pin short is that we want you to have enough platinum so you can pull it around the pinhole itself, and it'll actually rivet that platinum pin on the lingual surface. And we very carefully go around that. And this can be done only while the cement is soft. If you try to do this after the cement is hardened, you'll have a cement line. So we very carefully go around that, pulling the platinum. If this is done properly, you won't even be able to see the difference between the platinum and the gold. It'll be almost like it's welded together. Okay, now I need the sand disk we have there. And then the one last thing we do before we let this harden is that we will go over the incisal edge, and going from taking a disc, fine cuttle disc, going from gold to porcelain, we will dress this margin down over the porcelain, pulling it slightly, finishing it at this very incisal edge, always going from gold to tooth, or gold to porcelain. Now we will wait until the cement is hardened, and then we will clean the cement away and then cement the bridge permanently in the mouth. When the bridge is ready for cementation, we dry the teeth, and then in this case we are using zinc phosphate cement to give us a little longer working time. We will varnish then the pinholes when we use zinc phosphate cement because of its acid nature. Here we're using copalite paper point, and we very carefully varnish the pinholes, making sure we get a good coat of varnish down the pinholes. And we don't stick the same paper point in the varnish, so we keep on using fresh paper points. Zinc oxide eugenol cements, the EBA eugenol cements, can be used also. However, they have a very short working time, and if you do not expect to do a whole lot of finishing, then these work very nicely. They do, however, the zinc oxide eugenol cements have a white color that will show through on very thin preparations. And if this labial enamel is very thin and the pins are showing through, then it is probably wiser to use a zinc phosphate cement that you can get in various colors, and you can check the colors before you cement by mixing the cement with a little bit of glycopone. And this then will give you the color that the cement is going to be when it's hardened. And by trial applications of the various colors of cements, you can hide the pins. Sometimes when the pins are showing through, it is also permissible to take the pin that is showing through and grind the labial part of the pin flat so that the gray of the pin will not show through. Okay, you can start mixing. Now we'll let that varnish harden. We will spin the cement down the pinholes with a spiral lentulo. This is an instrument that's designed for really spinning cement down root canals. And if you use the instrument as it comes from the package, it will tend to whip, and you'll have very poor control. So what you should do is cut it and leave only about 4 or 5 twists. Then it'll be rather stiff, and you'll be able to control it very nicely. This then is placed in a latch type contraangle, and then before you cement, make sure that it's spinning in the proper direction, that is spinning the cement up the pinhole and not out of the pinhole. And the way you can tell is by just grabbing this twist with your fingernail, and it should force the fingernail out. If it forces the fingernail toward the contour angle, then you're spinning in the wrong direction. And this is a way then of checking the spin. Then we'll take small mounds of cement and spin it all the way down the pinhole. This is a very efficient way to get cement into pinholes. That's it. If you take a close look at this, sometimes these long pins on very thin teeth will tend to show through. And this is the situation where I mentioned that you can grind these pins flat on the labial surface, and then with a proper shade of zinc phosphate cement you can hide these pins very nicely. You want to make sure that you have enough working time, so you work on a cool slab. And in this case we're making a 10-drop mix instead of the regular 7-drop mix, so we have lots of cement, enough cement to spin down the pinholes, and enough cement to place on the bridge itself. That's looking pretty good, Martha. Now this is a 2-stage operation, and the dental assistant will be placing the cement on the bridge itself, and then I will spin the cement up the pinholes. Okay, go ahead and take a small mound of cement, open real wide now, Bruce, and place it at the top of the orifice of the pinhole, and using a slow speed, run the cement up the pinhole. If you go too fast, the cement will not go up, it'll just whip all over the place. If you don't get cement in the pinholes, remember that the main retention of a pin casting is in the pins themselves, and if you don't get cement in the pinholes, then you've lost really all the retention of the entire restoration. So it's very, very important that you spin that cement all the way up to the end of the pinhole. This also is a way that a lot of dentists use to take rubber-based impressions of tapered pinholes. They will spin the cement up the pinholes. Okay. Now we'll take the bridge, and this is very critical to make sure that, turn your head this way just a bit, to make sure that all the pins are going down the proper channel. And this is where the, getting a little bit of saliva here. I'll change these cut rules. You don't want to get any moisture in this, so you want to make sure this stays nice and dry. I need gauze there. And then we'll wipe the cement away from the incisal edges and then force it down some more. And now I'm going to use the orangewood stick. Now can you tip your head down a little bit, Bruce? Now close. Okay, close. And by putting some pressure on that incisal edge, we'll rock this until no more cement comes out from under the margin. Okay, want to close on that? How does that feel? Feel good? Okay, open, close. Okay, close again. You go back and forth from one abutment to the other to make sure that no more cement is coming out. Okay, now, you close on that, Bruce, bring your jaw forward now. Open, please. Okay, now bite on that stick if you can. That's it. I need the 5S burnisher. Now we go through the same sequence again. The open, please, now, Bruce. We will burnish the margins with our 5S burnisher, making sure that any gold that has been opened up by the cement oozing out from the margins is burnished back into place. And we try to get, I need a mirror too, Martha. We try to get to as many spots as we can on this. And I think we'll use a big mirror, yeah. On the lingual surface, we will try to get down to the cervical margins, burnishing those against the tooth, and get to as many margins as we can with our burnisher. As many margins as we can. This is a unilateral pin ledge, so the margin on the mesial of the central incisor we will burnish against the enamel. We should be able to go from tooth to gold and gold to tooth and not really feel the difference. To feel like it's growing there. Okay, now we'll take the one-tooth stick here again. Can you close, please? Close again. Close. Close. Now I'll take that sand disc. And then the last step is to finish these incisal margins down using a disc or a greenstone, and again rotating from gold to tooth. We will then finish these margins down to the enamel. Okay, just rotate this. This last final little bit of finishing is very important. We like to make these incisal edges rounded. If they're flat, they will reflect gold, and the incisal protection will be very, very obvious. But if we round this, then any light that hits the gold itself will be reflected in all different kinds of directions, and it really won't show up as gold when someone looks at it. Okay, turn me a little bit. You'll find that finishing to enamel is much easier than finishing to the melamine or the plastic teeth that you have in your sophomore technique area. Remember to always, again, finish from gold to tooth. Now we will let this dry under pressure. Bruce, can you close on this stick again? Okay. We'll let this harden under pressure for another 7 minutes until this has been hardened, and the entire procedure takes around 10 minutes. After the cement has completely hardened, it's important to remove all of the cement completely, especially the cement that's under the gingival tissues. And we will make sure that we remove all of it, especially in the interproximal area. And then we will take dental floss and run dental floss in the contact areas, and then thread floss under the pontic itself and clean that area out with dental floss. Now it's important that we design our pontic so that the interdental space or the embrasures are open enough so we can get floss in. If, because of aesthetic reasons, we make that a little bit tighter, then there are available different kinds of bridge threaders, and this happens to be one called the Zahn bridge threader, and it's transparent plastic, a little difficult to see perhaps, and you thread your dental floss into this, and this is flexible and soft, and you can push it under the pontic. You will get more information on the various ways of using cleaning devices. Now I would like to show you the aesthetics that we can get with this type of a situation. Now with the patient tipped back, now if you can get in and show those incisal edges, you'll notice that we have all the incisal edges protected with gold. This is very important because the incisal edges are very delicate and could fracture. However, if the gold is rounded properly, then this will not reflect light and it'll look very aesthetic. Now tip your head forward. And in a natural, normal situation, if you can zoom in on that now, and you'll notice that from this view, if the patient goes from left to right, he really won't show any gold at all. The gold is hidden, and it's very aesthetic. The placement of the facings look like they're growing out of the gum tissue, and they look very natural. The last thing that we do then is we make a final check of the occlusion to make sure that's correct, and then we tell the patient about home care. He has to clean this bridge and brush it just like his natural teeth, and also he has to clean under that facing, under the pontic, at least once a day. This is very important. And then we will dismiss the patient. We'll recall him in about 2 weeks to check on his home care and to check occlusion.
You've been listening to a presentation from the University of Michigan School of Dentistry, which is dedicated to supporting open learning and open educational resources. This recording is licensed under the Creative Commons. It may be reused and redistributed for nonprofit use. Please attribute materials to the University of Michigan School of Dentistry and redistribute under this same license. For more information on how this and other University of Michigan School of Dentistry recordings may be used, visit www.dent.umich.edu/license.